Κυρίες και κύριοι, θα προχωρήσουμε αμέσως στην επόμενη διάλεξη, γιατί έχουμε ξεφύγει ελαφρά από το χρόνο μας. Αλλά είμαι βέβαιος ότι θα διαπιστώσετε, θα απολαύσετε και την επόμενη διάλεξη, παρότι κουρασμένοι, γιατί είμαστε από το πρωί εδώ. Μια διάλεξη η οποία θα δοθεί από έναν εξαιρετικό ομιλητή, αλλά πάνω απ' όλα έναν εξαιρετικό επιστήμονα της ελληνικής διασποράς που μας τιμάει στο εξωτερικό και έναν πολύ καλό φίλο. Ο κύριος Βασίλειος Παπαλόης είναι απόφοιτος της Ιατρικής Σχολής του Εθνικού και Καποδιστριακού Πανεπιστημίου Αθηνών. Έκανε την ειδικότητά του στη χειρουργική στην Αγγλία, την εξειδίκευσή του στις μεταμοσχεύσεις οργάνων σε ένα από τα μεγαλύτερα κέντρα του κόσμου στη Μινεσότα. Έχει εργαστεί πάρα πολλά χρόνια στην Αγγλία. Σήμερα είναι καθηγητής χειρουργικής μεταμοσχεύσεων στο Imperial College του Λονδίνου. Είναι χειρουργός μεταμοσχευτής διευθυντής στο West Renal and Transplant Unit του Λονδίνου, που αποτελεί τη μεγαλύτερη μονάδα μεταμόσχευσης νεφρού και μία από τις μεγαλύτερες παγκρέατος. Είναι πρόεδρος σε πολλές επιτροπές, από όσο γνωρίζω, και βεβαίως είναι και ο νέος πρόεδρος της Ευρωπαϊκής Εταιρείας Μεταμοσχεύσεων. Είχα τη μεγάλη τιμή και το προνόμιο να εργαστώ κάτω από τις οδηγίες του και να εξειδικευτώ στις μεταμοσχεύσεις νεφρού και παγκρέατος, και πραγματικά τα αισθήματα που τρέφω για τον κύριο Παπαλό είναι αισθήματα ευγνωμοσύνης. Φίλε Βασίλη, ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ που έκανες αυτό το μακρύ ταξίδι για να έρθεις κοντά μας, και το βήμα είναι δικό σου για να εισηγηθείς το θέμα με τίτλο «Treatment of End-Stage Organ Failure. The landscape is redefined».
Αγαπητέ κύριε καθηγητά, κύριε Μίτση, αγαπητέ Μιχάλη, κύριε Πρόεδρε της Ελληνικής Εταιρείας Μεταμοσχεύσεων, κυρίες και κύριοι συνάδελφοι. Καταρχήν, θέλω να εκφράσω τις πιο θερμές μου ευχαριστίες προς την Ελληνική Εταιρεία Μεταμοσχεύσεων για αυτή την ευγενική πρόσκληση να προσφωνήσω αυτό το πολύ σημαντικό συνέδριο. Είναι μεγάλη τιμή και ειλικρινά το εννοώ. Και επίσης να εκφράσω την ευγνωμοσύνη μου στην Οργανωτική Επιτροπή του Συνεδρίου και ειδικά στον καθηγητή τον κύριο Μίτση για την ευγενική πρόσκληση. Ο καθηγητής ο κύριος Μίτσης είναι ένας άνθρωπος τον οποίο με μεγάλη τιμή και πολύ συγκίνηση αποκαλώ συνάδελφο και φίλο μου, και έχουμε συνεργαστεί μαζί για πολλά χρόνια. Η ομιλία μου θα είναι στην αγγλική γλώσσα, και αυτό όχι επειδή έχω ξεχάσει τα ελληνικά σε καμία περίπτωση ή επειδή περιφρονώ τη γλώσσα μας, την οποία υπεραγαπώ και σέβομαι, αλλά επειδή γίνεται εκ μέρους της Ευρωπαϊκής Εταιρείας Μεταμοσχεύσεων και οι κανονισμοί είναι ότι πρέπει να γίνεται είτε στην αγγλική είτε στη γαλλική γλώσσα όταν γίνεται σε διεθνή χώρο. Το θέμα της ομιλίας μου έχει να κάνει με τη γενικότερη αλλαγή πορεία στον τομέα των μεταμοσχεύσεων, όχι μόνο της ΕΣΟΤ, αλλά του ευρύτερου μεταμοσχευτικού χώρου, και ειδικά τον τρόπο με τον οποίο η Ευρωπαϊκή Εταιρεία Μεταμοσχεύσεων ενστερνίζεται αυτή την αλλαγή. Κλινικά, ακαδημαϊκά, επιστημονικά, επαγγελματικά. Έχουμε ένα change of paradigm, όπως λέμε, και αυτή την ολιστική αντιμετώπιση του θέματος θα σας παρουσιάσω τα επόμενα 20 με 25 λεπτά. The symbol of ESOT is this small part of a big painting at the ceiling of the Vatican, which is painted by the biggest artist the world has ever seen, Michelangelo Buonarroti. Is God giving life to Adam. It is also the international symbol of transplantation. And one of the most magnificent parts of this painting is exactly the tone of the muscles of Adam, which is the tone of the muscles of a human being in between death and life. Is a human being who is coming to life. And Michelangelo was not only a great artist, but he was a great anatomist and physiologist, and he studied countless cadavers and alive human beings to be able to get to this remarkable result. And reminds us always that transplantation is exactly the same thing. The good outcome is the product of immense, painful work full of tears, sweat, and blood until the successful outcome comes. Lessons from history. I always like to start any kind of presentation in the broader European spectrum with lessons of history. And the first thing I think that we need to tackle when we talk about any kind of European project is there a need for European collaboration? Is there a need for European integration? Is there an alternative to European collaboration and integration? There is, dear colleagues, a very well-tested alternative. This is the alternative: catastrophe, war, disaster, death, that we have not tasted many, many times in this continent, and we must say, never again. And this should wake up the memories, especially of people in the country where, for the last 25 years, I live and work. When it comes also to the development of European projects, I always remember these two quotes by two of the giants of European integration. Robert Schuman said, "Europe will not be built in one day or in one way." And I always remind this to colleagues when they are particularly impatient to build everything from scratch within a matter of a few seconds in the broader multicultural, multi-region, multi-everything European environment. And Jean Monnet said, "Nothing is possible without people. Nothing is lasting without institutions." In a European Society of Organ Transplantation, we invest in both, in people and institutions, and this is massively important. The principles and the structure of the European Society of Organ Transplantation. It was founded on the 28th of April of 1982. It has a history of 37 remarkable years. And it has some unique characteristics which I think are very, very important to emphasize and remind people. First of all, it was the first truly multidisciplinary society. When you get together in a room, Roy Kahn was presiding of the process. Everybody was going down the road of one more club of male surgeons. This is what was supposed to be. And he said, no. If it is for this to success and last, it has to cover all people under the umbrella of transplantation. Medics, basic scientists, nurses, everybody who has an interest in that. And this was one of the strokes of geniuses that has characterized ESOT since then. It gave a lot of focus from the very beginning on continuing medical education and professional development when everybody had it as the pariah of their activities. And last but not least, constant innovation is at the very DNA of ESOT. Nothing that we do now has anything to do with what we did in the past and has nothing to do with what we will be doing in the future. We always appraise, revise, and progress. The structure of ESOT is basically an umbrella organization, very democratic one. All its officials are elected democratically, but it has under its auspices 12 sections and committees that cover the whole spectrum of transplant activity across Europe and much beyond. And this is massively, massively important because there is nobody with an interest, with work in transplantation who cannot find a roof under the European Society of Organ Transplantation. One of the things that I have established over the last 5 years is the ESOT College of the Presidents of the National Transplant Societies. And this is a clear declaration on behalf of ESOT to enhance its collaboration and work with the national transplant societies across Europe. And this is hugely important because up to now, the national transplant societies were in the periphery. Now, they have a formal voice within the Council of ESOT and the influence process. ESOT has the obligation to support them, and they can amplify their voices through the work of ESOT in the broader European arena. As I said, one of the main things that we do is to put emphasis on continuing medical education and continuing professional development. And let's be a bit more specific for that. We address, as I said, everybody under the sun with an interest in the field of transplantation. But over the last 5 to 6 years or so, the focus of our CME-CPD portfolio has to do with the colleagues who are called young people in transplantation, if you wish, the leaders of the future. And this is hugely important because when you invest in life, you don't invest in something that has a very limited, life expectancy. You invest in something that will be, the future. And everything that we do has this group as its core drive and as it is quality assurance mechanism, and this has made a huge difference in the activities and the success of those activities. The education program of ESOT is second to none. We have a series of academic courses supported by e-books, and this covers the whole spectrum of knowledge, multidisciplinary knowledge in the field of transplantation. Also, we have specialist symposia and courses organized by sections and committees of ESOT, and over the last 3 years, we have established the big course of the Transplant Learning Journey, which is a joint course between all the sections and committees of ESOT, aiming basically for exchange of knowledge, cross-cutting themes, and cross-fertilization. It is massively successful, and the next one will take place in November of 2020, and it's going to be basically a very big workshop where together all of us will design the future of our vocation. We have created a massive e-platform, e-educational platform. A huge investment has been made to this, which is close to €500,000 so far. And this platform has some unique characteristics. First of all, it addresses real professionals who face real problems in real life. It is not an academic exercise or somebody's academic aspiration. It is somebody that aims to help people in their day-to-day activities. Secondly, it is tailored to the needs of every professional. So every one of us can navigate through it and finally get the elements from the platform which are related to his or her activity. It has a series of courses which are developing by the day, and most importantly, the whole transplant community in Europe, way beyond ESOT, are able to contribute into it. And also, it is fully accredited by IACME, so for every event that you go in and take and learn from that, you get the relevant credits, which translate into an international currency of education across the world. And as you can see, you can do it in a very targeted, very specific, very tailored to your needs way. ESOT also has a very generous program of grants, and these are educational scholarships, study scholarships, and fellowships that give the opportunity to transplant professionals across Europe to travel, learn from each other, and create very robust networks. The ESOT Congress, which is the flagship of the organization. The last one took place in Copenhagen in September of 2019, and I had the privilege and the honor to be the chairman of the organizing committee. It was, as it is always, the ESOT Congress, a massive success. We had 4,000 people attending, and we had even more people attending through live television through all over the world. It was twice the size of the American Congress, 3 times bigger than the Congress of the International Society, and I always say, we don't compete with the Americans compete from now on with us. We are far ahead of the game when it comes to quantity and quality. The Congress had an enormous amount of innovations, but I will stay in a few of them which are, I think, particularly important. It was something that focused on organ replacement therapy, working with neighboring disciplines. It was patient-centered, truly international, and European-focused. It has a series of ways to submit your work, discuss your work, debate your work in a way which is constructive, beyond the usual presentation questions and you sit down. And this was awarded with a series of awards, including the new Leonardo da Vinci Award for Innovation in Transplantation Research, which is with a huge amount of money, and it's aimed to be the Nobel Prize of Transplantation in Europe. Also, for the first time, it was not only the Congress radiating knowledge to the world was contributing knowledge to the Congress. So you had live connections with other universities, with other departments that could feed their educational activities into the ESOT Congress. And the Stanford University was one characteristic example. Also, it gave an enormous amount of emphasis in the participation of the patients in the Congress and in the participation of the patients in all the activities that ESOT will design in the years ahead of us. And this is now continuous as a formal initiative within ESOT, and it will be a formal item of our agenda in the next decade. Also, we enhanced our collaboration with the European authorities, with DG Sante, with the European Transplant Competent Authorities, with the Council of Europe, with the National Transplant Societies. And the focus of this collaboration is on quality assurance in transplant practice and organ replacement treatments. We had a series of common sessions at the Congress, which were very well attended and enormously successful. And the way that we focus our work with the European Union and the European authorities aiming to promote transplantation across Europe is A, in the area of education, secondly, in the area of research collaboration, promotion of organ donation and transplantation, and quality assurance. And this not as a matter of principle and general idea, but as day-to-day practice. And this is an area where really the European authorities, the European Union, the European Society of Organ Transplantation, the Hellenic Transplantation Society, and all of us can work to boost transplantation and donation in our country. After ESOT, as Dr. Koukoulaki tell you, Milan is coming up in 2 years' time. Already an enormous amount of work has been done long before the 2 years, and the focus of Milan will be about interplay, connect, and interface. The focus will be completely different than Copenhagen, and it will have to do with all the work we do with neighboring specialties, with neighboring sciences, and the way this becomes productive. And after that, as you know now very well, and we had the chance to celebrate it, it will be Athens. And Athens has to be something completely different than Milan. And it has to give a completely new dimension. As I said, no ESOT Congress is the same like the previous one. And that's why Dr. Boletis, who will be the chair of the organizing committee, along with the president-elect of ESOT, my successor, will attend the works of the Committee of Milan to ensure that they will get all the good elements. But everything else from now on, it will be a completely new ballgame. Also, ESOT gives an enormous amount of attention to the use of modern technology, the social media, and everything that the net has brought to our attention to be able to increase our activities. We have, for example, created an enormous amount of awards enhancing and rewarding people's ability to work in the outpatient setting or in the inpatient setting to improve clinical pathways. We use a lot the social media and everything that comes with it to be able to enhance health literacy. Αυτό που λέμε στον τόπο μας αγωγή υγείας. From the very beginning, from the primary school, from the kindergarten, I would say, the primary school, the secondary school, places of worship, places of work, all the way to retirement. And this is hugely, hugely important, to embed the culture from day one in people's hearts and minds. This is the only way you can really get the numbers off the ground. And this is hugely important, and we invest a lot on this. And also, we use this kind of connectivity through the net to create very fertile and properly edited discussions on various elements of transplantation across Europe that then translate into opinion papers, guidelines, and all the rest of it. We have a very successful publication, Transplant International, which has been there for quite a few years now, and the impact factor of it is increasing significantly by the year, and also the editorial office of it is basically predominantly in Europe, but with a very good taste of international element. Very importantly, Transplant International, as it is the case with the rest of ESOT, is going to a new direction. We will have open access journals attached to Transplant International, which are going to address all the new elements of transplantation. As we will say in a few minutes' time, stem cells, bioartificial organs, tissue engineering, and all the rest of it. And they will be in a way that people can be part of it, they can participate in it, and they can advance it. A huge project, a massive project for which the European Society of Organ Transplantation is particularly proud and is unique around the world is the creation of the 4 boards of transplantation with the European Union of Medical Specialties, a project that is going on for the last 14 years. The European Union of Medical Specialties is another organization which is near and dear to my heart, and it is basically the Medical Association of Europe. The Pan-Hellenic Medical Association represents Greece, and the national medical associations represents a total of 40 countries into the UEMS. It has a history of 61 years, representing 40 nations, as I said, formally through their national medical associations, 60 specialist bodies representing 1.6 million people. So it is a massive enterprise with enormous influence around the world. The massive and diverse educational portfolio of ESOT is accredited by the UEMS, by the European Accreditation Council of Continuing Medical Education, and it is the vehicle, the springboard that allows people to apply into the 4 boards we have created between UEMS and ESOT. We have created 4 European transplant boards in surgery, medicine, coordination, and immunology to cover the whole spectrum of transplant professionals. And we offer appraisal and accreditation of trainees, trainers, and training centers. This is unique around the world. There is no other country in the world, the United States included, that has a process in place. And the American Society of Transplant Surgery and the American Society of Transplantation has sent many times formal delegations in our exams to be able to learn from that and try to copy it in the United States, something that they still have not been able to do. And some of our most recent developments, we are going to expand in the area of registries, in kidney, pancreas, and pregnancy in transplantation. We already have a very successful one on liver. We are going to have a special project about equity, equality, and diversity in the field of transplantation. And also we have a new paradigm of working with industry, where basically we work by getting from them independent educational grants, unrestricted educational grants, that feed into the scientific work of producing new guidelines, opinion papers, work of substance that promotes the field of transplantation. And last but not least, we are embracing a series of novel therapeutic strategies in organ replacement treatments, because this is a reality. Once upon a time, transplantation was at the center of the scene, and it was the lone ranger there. There was nobody else. Now transplantation has still the dominant presence at the center of the scene, but it's in no way whatsoever alone in the scene. There are many other players contributing extremely credibly in the process of organ replacement treatment that ISOT, as I said in my presidential address in Copenhagen, embraces very enthusiastically. We have a very serious problem in our hands, dear colleagues. The problem is that organ failure, end-stage organ failure, regardless of the organ, is increasing by the day across the world. And this is an undisputable fact, no matter if it is the kidney, the pancreas, the liver, the heart, or whatever. And you can see here some simple statistics, and you can have many, many of them. In the United States, the end-stage organ failure, the incidence of it has increased by 17.5% over the last 20 years, and the prevalence of it, 147%. The results from the United Kingdom are pretty similar. Why this is happening? Simply because we all live longer, we all pick up comorbidities, and we all have some very bad habits that lead us to end-stage organ failure. You can see here what is remarkable, and this is US data, that although the people in need for care when it comes to peritoneal dialysis or hemodialysis in the kidney context is increasing dramatically, practically the number of transplants, despite the huge efforts over the last 10 years, remains static. And again, the same thing from the United Kingdom point of view that shows the increase in the incidence and the prevalence of end-stage renal failure in the 4 different countries of the United Kingdom, which is absolutely remarkable. So we have a very serious problem in our hands. And the problem is that we have a huge demand, which is going to get even bigger, and we don't have the supply to satisfy it. And this is clear like day. In the UK, over the last 10 years, what we have done is that we copied, literally copy and paste, the Spanish model, with the special nurses of organ donation in every single hospital promoting the cause of donation and transplantation, undisputably. And we had a 100% increase in the number of donors that translated in 85% increase in the number of transplants, and still is not even remotely enough to allow us to be able to cover the need. So this growing capacity will make us need new therapeutic approaches to be able to meet the demand. Otherwise, we will have a very, very serious problem in our hands, and we will not be able to offer our patients the care they really deserve. These novel therapeutic strategies have 2 aims overall. The first one is to increase our capacity to recondition organs through reperfusion technologies or use of multipotent stem cells, and find new ways to replace organ function through the use of artificial or bioartificial organs, organoids, and tissue engineering. These are the big, broad categories. When it comes to perfusion technologies, what has been always the gold standard is static cold storage. And static cold storage, we have to be fair, did a very good job for us for almost 50 years, but is still not good enough. The reason to this is simply because it maintains an organ, it doesn't mitigate, let alone treat ischemia reperfusion injury, and it doesn't allow us in any way whatsoever to assess the condition of the organ, let alone to be able to recondition it. And this is where perfusion technologies, the use of machine perfusion, has come into play. It came a decade ago, quite shyly, I have to say, around the world, but now it is a dominant force. And I can tell you that it will be the bread and butter of our practice in the years ahead of us. And the aim is, as we said, is to give us a chance to prolong the survival of those organs and improve their condition and give us the ideal situation to transplant them at a timely way without affecting other healthcare provision. These technologies that we use through machine perfusion aim in 2 things: assessing condition and improving condition. And assessing condition is massively important in the 21st century because you cannot just offer an organ to your patient. You need to tell them what kind of organ you are offering them and what are the anticipated outcome of this transplant. And only if you have this technology in place, you are able to do that. But also allows us to improve the condition of these organs and increase the chances of a successful transplant in the long run. The use of stem cells. Stem cell therapies can be broadly grouped into 2 categories: therapies designed to improve and recondition organs, and therapies aiming to create organs and organ-like structures de novo. When it comes to stem cell therapy, stem cells, no matter if they are mesenchymal stem cells or they are adipose-derived stem cells or even embryonic stem cells, have some unique properties. They have the unique property to downregulate the immune system. And we have seen that. This is proven and it's clear like day. And they also have the unique ability to regenerate the parenchyma of various organs. So these are the two properties that we take advantage of, and through reperfusion technologies, we are trying to use them to be able to improve the condition of marginal allografts. And you can ask me, is this important? It is massively important, because look at these extremely disappointing figures from the United Kingdom. This is the number of transplants that finally we do in 2000, and this is data from 2017, 2018, the most recent data. You can see that from the number of donors that started the process of donation, only 84 of those donors finally gave a kidney for transplantation, 81% a liver. It was close to 19% of the pancreas, and less for the heart and the lungs. When it comes to donors coming after circulatory death, the results were even more disappointing. 83% ended up in kidney donation, 32% in liver, and only 9% for the pure pancreas. And if you see here the number of kidneys which have been discarded in the various centers in the United Kingdom is anything between 10 and 12%. 10 to 12% of the kidneys coming finally to us for transplantation go to the bin because they are deemed to be unsuitable for transplantation. And if it is bad for the kidney, it's dramatic for the pancreases, where 1 out of 2 of them goes to the bin, even after retrieval. So we do need a completely new approach and a completely new technology to be able to assess the condition of these organs that go to the bin, improve it, and finally be able to implant them. As you can see the numbers, if we are able to reverse this, we can achieve miracles. Stem cells in the context of creating bioartificial organs. Basically, this is the concept where we create a scaffold that looks like an organ, and this is populated by pluripotent stem cells. And when you see these organs, you say, oh my God, this is a kidney, this is a liver, this is a heart in front of my eyes. There are two big difficulties here. The first one is that it's extremely difficult to mimic anatomy. It is very difficult to mimic physiology and function. And this is what we cannot do with these bioartificial organs as things stand. And also the use of stem cells in the clinical context, and especially stem cells coming from embryos, create an enormous amount not only of ethical problems, but potential future medical problems like, for example, teratogenesis. The organoids. The organoids is a little bit of focusing down in the stem cells, trying to overcome this problem of not being able to mimic physiology. And organoids are basically targeted cultures of cells that have this ability to behave like a specific type of cell, produce certain factors, and behave in the same physiological way as a normal cell. And we hope and believe that with targeted intervention where is needed in damaged organs, we will be able to reverse it. So it's a much, much promising technology. And finally, artificial organs. They are organs which are doing a pretty mechanical function, like the heart, and can be replaced by a pump, but there are organs like the kidney, the pancreas, the liver, that do a completely different thing. And replace it with an artificial device in this context, not a scaffold populated by stem cells, is something extremely difficult. In the context of the kidney, we have quite a few devices that do exactly the job that a dialysis machine does, basically, in a much smaller scale. Of course, they are more sophisticated than dialysis machine, and they can intervene much more in the whole pathophysiology of kidney function. The challenge, and it's a huge amount of research going on now around the world, is to be able to make these machines basically minuscule through nanotechnology and be able to implant them into patients and give them a kidney or a dialysis machine, if you wish, that they can carry under their skin and walk around without any problem whatsoever. And similarly for the pancreas, we have similar devices that work in exactly the same way. They are computers reading your sugar and through an algorithm give you the amount of insulin you need. And nowadays, it's not even a computer, it's an app that even the patient would be able eventually to control himself or herself. Much promising, but much far away from broad clinical implementation at the moment. And last but not least, transplant genomics. Our intervention into the human genome. It is the time when we start playing God, and this can be extremely dangerous. But the overall concept allows us, through our understanding and our intervention in the human genome, first of all, to be able to understand better the pathophysiology, second, to be able to optimize our interventions, and last but not least, to prevent disease and let alone reverse it. So, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, there is no debate whatsoever that a new world is dawning around us. ESOT, and I emphasize that in Copenhagen as clear as day, embraces this complementary to transplantation new world. Even more importantly, and I want to emphasize that, is prepared to prepare all transplanters around the world to be able to actually be engaged in this process and incorporate them in their day-to-day practice. And in that context, we prepare a huge educational portfolio in support of all transplanters around the world. I'm most grateful for your attention.
Κύριε Παπαλόη, ευχαριστούμε πολύ για την εισήγησή σας. Δεν ξέρω αν ακούγομαι. Τώρα ναι. Για όσους έχουν παρακολουθήσει και άλλες φορές τον κύριο Παπαλόη, νομίζω δεν αποτελεί έκπληξη η ποιότητα της διάλεξής του και η ρητορική του δεινότητα. Πάντα είχε το χαρακτηριστικό, ή τουλάχιστον εγώ έτσι αισθανόμουν, στο τέλος κάθε διάλεξης του κυρίου Παπαλόη, νομίζεις ότι απλά απλώνοντας το χέρι σου θα αγγίξει το μέλλον. Ελπίζω να είναι έτσι τα πράγματα, αν και προσωπικά έχω ορισμένες αμφιβολίες, τις οποίες βέβαια θα συζητήσουμε, ίσως αφού πρώτα υπάρξουν μία-δύο ερωτήσεις, αν έχετε τη διάθεση να απαντήσετε.
Βεβαίως.
Κάποια ερώτηση? Ναι, κύριε Φούζα.
Εμείς, σαν ελληνική μεταπολιτική κοινότητα, θεωρούμε ότι για το είπα, όπου τα μισά δεν τα χρειαζόμαστε...
Με συγχωρείς, Γιάννη, δεν σ' άκουσα. Ποια μοσιεύματα δεν δέχεστε?
Χρειαζόμαστε πάρα πολύ έναν τρόπο συντήρησης των υπατικόμενων του σχημάτων και εκτίμηση της ρητορικότητάς τους. Με αυτόν τον τρόπο μπορούμε να αυξήσουμε τις μεταμοσχεύσεις κατά 30% το κάτι γνώμη. Δηλαδή, δημοσιεύματα από 55-60 παχύσαρκους που είχαν εγκεφαλικό και κάτσαν αρκετές μέρες στη μονάδα, που πήραν πολλά ενότροπα, τα οποία είναι σήμερα απαγορευτικά ή γίνονται με πολύ υψηλό ρίσκο μη λειτουργίας και θανάτου του λήπτη, θα μπορούν να χρησιμοποιούνται. Ένας άλλος λοιπόν χώρος που ζητάμε βοήθεια και εμείς και το λαϊκό, φαντάζομαι, και το Ιπποκράτη δηλαδή, να έχουμε μια τέτοια δυνατότητα. Πιστεύω ότι θα είναι καθοριστική. Ευχαριστώ.
Ένα πράγμα, συμφωνώ απόλυτα και όπως είπαμε, είναι κάτι το οποίο γίνεται η νόρμα σε όλα τα όργανα στην Ευρώπη και πολύ πέραν της Ευρώπης. Ένα θέμα που είναι σημαντικό είναι πάντα το κόστος και πρέπει να το έχουμε υπόψη μας σε αυτή την υπόθεση. Το καλό είναι ότι κάποτε πριν από μερικά χρόνια υπήρχαν βασικά δύο εταιρείες οι οποίες ήταν εμπλεκόμενες σε αυτό το χώρο. Τώρα υπάρχει μια πληθώρα. Στην Κοπενχάγη δεν ξέρουμε πού να τους βάλουμε. Και όταν υπάρχει πληθώρα, υπάρχει ανταγωνισμός, οι τιμές πέφτουν και οι προσφορές αυξάνονται. Λοιπόν, σήμερα είναι πολύ πιο εύκολο οικονομικά να μπορέσει κανείς να ξεκινήσει ένα τέτοιο πρόγραμμα σε σχέση με το ότι ήταν 5 ή 6 χρόνια πριν. Και αυτό πρέπει να ληφθεί πάρα πολύ σοβαρά υπόψη. Από την άλλη μεριά, το κέρδος είναι τεράστιο και το κέρδος όχι μόνο του να σώσουμε μια ανθρώπινη ζωή, που είναι το πρώτο και το σημαντικότερο, αλλά το οικονομικό όφελος από το να βγάλουμε κάποιον από το τελικό στάδιο της ηπατικής ή της νεφρικής ή της παγκρεατικής ανεπάρκειας. Είναι τεράστιο. Και πιστεύω ότι όχι μόνο το κλινικό μέρος είναι πάρα πολύ ισχυρό και μπορεί να πείσει τις αρχές, αλλά και το οικονομικό στην παρούσα φάση έχουμε πολύ σοβαρά επιχειρήματα.
Ναι, κύριε Βολέτη.
Πλέον έχει απογειωθεί. Είναι πολύ, δηλαδή δίνει τις δυνατότητες να γίνουν πράγματα, το φαντάζεσαι και μπορείς τουλάχιστον και το δοκιμάζεις να δεις τι γίνεται. Και παραπέμπω μόνο στα παραμύθια, στις ιστορίες του Ιουλίου Βέρν, που κανείς δεν φανταζόταν βέβαια, το 20.000 λεύγες κάτω από τη θάλασσα και τα λοιπά, τα υποβρύχια και τα υπόλοιπα. Επομένως μπορεί να τα δούμε αυτά. Δεν ξέρω αν θα τα προλάβουμε, αλλά θα τα δούμε.
Δεν θα διαφωνήσω. Σέβομαι πάρα πολύ την άποψη και των δύο, και του κυρίου Παπαλόη και του κυρίου Πολέτη. Απλά να θυμόμαστε ότι και ο Ιούλιος Βέρν δεν τα πρόλαβε να τα δει.
Απλώς να σας πω για αυτό το τομέα, γιατί πραγματικά ακούγονται μερικά από αυτά ως επιστημονική φαντασία. Το Leonardo da Vinci Award, το οποίο σας έδειξα, το οποίο είναι το μεγάλο award της ΕΣΟΤ, είναι 15.000 ευρώ, είναι η μεγαλύτερη τιμή για κάποιον ερευνητή στις μεταμοσχεύσεις στην Ευρώπη. Όταν πήραμε, είχαμε 2.500 περιλήψεις που μας δόθηκαν στο συνέδριο και διαλέχθηκαν τελικά 10. Και η επιλογή δεν έγινε από μένα ή κάποιον άλλον, έγινε από 10 εκδότες των πιο έγκυρων επιστημονικών περιοδικών του κόσμου. Μιλάμε για JAMA, για BMJ κτλ. Lancet. Και οι 10 ήταν από αυτούς τους νέους τομείς. Δεν ήταν ούτε μία το old-fashioned cutting and stitching, immunosuppression κτλ. Όλες ήταν από αυτούς τους καινούριους τομείς. Και αν τώρα στο 2019 ήταν όλες, καταλαβαίνετε στο 2023 στην Αθήνα θα είναι τσουνάμι. Είμαι σίγουρος γι' αυτό. Είμαι απόλυτα σίγουρος γι' αυτό.
Ένα σχόλιο ακόμα.
Πρόεδρος είστε, δεν μπορώ να πω, όχι.
Λοιπόν, για τα ξενομοσχεύματα που έχουμε κολλήσει εδώ και 10 χρόνια με την ιστορία του χείριου DNA και του πιθανού. Υπάρχει κάτι νεότερο?
Νεότερο όχι. Και πάντα, αν θέλει να δει κανείς αν υπάρχει πραγματικά κίνηση, κοιτάξαμε 2.500 abstracts τα οποία είχαμε, δεν μπορούσαμε να φτιάξουμε συνεδρία για ξενομεταμοσχεύσεις. Δεν υπήρχαν αρκετά για να υπάρχει μια συνεδρία για ξενομεταμοσχεύσεις. Και τελικά αυτό το οποίο έχει φρενάρει αυτή την υπόθεση για πολλά χρόνια τώρα, γιατί φτάσαμε πολύ κοντά στο ανοσολογικό κομμάτι. Είχαμε τη δυνατότητα να έχουμε όργανα τα οποία ήταν ανοσολογικά ουδέτερα. Αυτό δεν ήταν τόσο πολύ μεγάλο πρόβλημα. Ήταν ο φόβος και ο τρόμος της μεταφοράς, ο Θεός ξέρει ποιων παθήσεων, από τα ζώα στους ανθρώπους, για το οποίο δεν υπήρχε κανένα εχέγγυο. Απολύτως. Και αυτό ήταν μεγάλο πρόβλημα. Όπως επίσης ότι δεν ξέραμε, δεν είχαμε καμία ουσιαστική πληροφόρηση σε σχέση με το ποια θα είναι η παθοφυσιολογική συμπεριφορά αυτών των οργάνων αφού μεταμοσχευθούν σε ανθρώπους. Και τι είδους παθολογία θα αναπτύξουν μετά από αυτό. Γιατί άλλη παθολογία αναπτύσσει ένας νεφρός σε ένα χείρο και άλλη παθολογία θα αναπτύξει αυτός ο νεφρός όταν θα μεταμοσχευτεί σε έναν άνθρωπο. Αυτά τα τεράστια black boxes, τα μαύρα κουτιά, δεν τα ανοίξαμε ποτέ. Και πιστεύω αυτό είναι που έχει βάλει φρένο στην όλη υπόθεση.
Λοιπόν, ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ.